Israel's foreign minister lashes out at Turkey, saying the country can no longer be a peace mediator. At the same time, Israel's trade office heads to Ankara to reignite business ties. Just what is really behind this confusing message? And what will it take to heal worsening relations between these one-time close allies? This is Inside Story. Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Jane Dutton. Israel's relationship with Turkey seems increasingly confused. This week, Israel's trade minister is visiting Ankara and Istanbul in the hope of thawing frosty ties between the two nations. At the same time, Israel's foreign minister is implying relations may be getting worse. Turkey has been a third-party mediator between Israel and Syria. Last year, that mediation looked like it might bring the two feuding sides together in direct talks. After Israel's war on Gaza, negotiations were frozen. Since then, relations between Turkey and Israel have soured. In January, the Turkish Prime Minister walked out of a debate with the Israeli president over the war. Last month, Turkey banned Israel from joining organized war games. The ensuing war of words led to Erdogan declaring that he thinks Palestinians have been the victims of greater war crimes than people in Darfur. Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has said that there will be no talks unless Turkey is the mediator. But this weekend, the Israeli Foreign Minister Avigdor Lieberman reiterated his opposition to dealing with Turkey. This is what he said. After all the verbal attacks and insults towards us expressed by the Turks, they cannot be considered as mediators between us and the Syrians. Well, joining us today to talk about this subject are our guests in Damascus, Samir al-Taqi, Director of the Orient Center for International Studies. In Jerusalem, Efrain Imbar, Politics Professor at Bar Ilan University and the Director of the Begin Sadat Center for Strategic Studies. And in Istanbul, Sengiz Aktar, a columnist with the Turkish daily newspaper. Let's start off with you, Mr. Imbar. Israel's trade minister has just called on Turkey to resume its role as mediator in peace negotiations between Israel and Syria, one day after your foreign minister said Turkey was not impartial. What's behind this mixed message?
I think that we see a typical disagreement between ministers in the Israeli government. To some extent, the trade minister reflects the business interest, and he is in charge of having good economic relations with Turkey, and he has a clear green light for doing so. The foreign minister probably expresses a more strategic judgment on part of the Israeli government, which believes that after Turkey became close to Iran, it lost its ability to be a mediator, and it crossed, in my view, the Rubicon. It's no longer a Western ally, and therefore it cannot be trusted by Israelis.
So if there are these splits within their government and ideas going forward as far as foreign policy towards Turkey and Syria is concerned, how's this issue ever going to be resolved?
I think that eventually on the strategic issues, it's defense minister, the prime minister and the foreign minister which will make the decisions, while the trade minister will remain in charge of the economic dimension of the Turkish-Israeli relationship, which is indeed blooming and probably has a good chance of improving in the near future as business communities in the two countries have common interests to cooperate.
Okay, Mr. Aktar, how is Turkey then reading this rather mixed message?
Well, frankly, no one was expecting Avigdor Lieberman to be a peace teller, a peace man. So it's perfectly normal. Binyamin Ben Eliezer is in town, as you mentioned. But he is discussing a very major military deal between Israel and Turkey. Israel is expected to deliver some unmanned drones to Turkey, and this deal was put on freeze recently, and this is one of the reasons why he is here. And his messages were quite positive. He just said, and he is right, just be neutral if you go into this peacemaking deal between Israel and Syria.
So do you think Turkey is ignoring what Lieberman is saying and just focusing now on the economic ties with Israel?
Well, it's not economic, as I said. I mean, they are delivering, drones.
Well, there must have been some
aircraft.
financial exchange as far as that was concerned.
Yeah, but of course, there is not much trade between Israel and Turkey. But when it comes to military deals, yes, they are very much there because they are, after all, strategic partners since 1995. So I think, when we talk big money with Israel and Turkey, it's rather military than tomatoes and oranges.
Okay, well, I'd like to find out more about what both sides have brought to the table, but let's bring in Mr. al-Taqi now to find out what's happening in Syria. I mean, what are you hearing about this?
It's interesting to hear how had been the discussion was guided here. Israel now is no more considering Turkey as a Western ally. This is really completely contradictory to what Mr. Obama had said. So I don't think that Israel is in a position to say who is an ally to the West or not. One. Second issue here, I think, is that Syria is now considering that Turkey had played a very important role in confidence building during the talks, and there is no reason to sideline Turkey, and that the Turkish role at the regional level is very much important as a partner and as a mediator. So I don't think that the Syrians will be changing their position regarding the Turkish role.
Okay, Mr. Akhtar, I saw you shaking your head there when Mr. al-Taqi was saying that Turkey is no longer an ally of the West. I mean, Turkey's regional role has changed quite dramatically.
Well, I mean, I think, it's very difficult for some to understand that Turkey is, Turkey was a satellite of the West between 1945 and 2005. And since then, it's having all sorts of relations with the kinship, actually religious, but ethnic and geographical kinship, and it's just normal. Turkey is not heading towards the east. I think Turkey is heading everywhere. I mean, Turkey is opening embassies in Madagascar, for instance, dealing with even this peace mediation between Syria and Israel, frankly. I mean, Israel is a country which is very close to the West, so Turkey is having a new deal, hopefully, with Armenia. Same, Armenia is a country which is very dear to the West. So I think we should relativize all this. And Turkey is trying its best. Of course, it's not perfect. There are some loopholes and lacunas, like this friendship with Omar al-Bashir, which is really unacceptable to me. But otherwise, Turkey is kind of re-exporting the stability it earned from the EU path, the EU process, because it's negotiating with EU, and it's a NATO member, Council of Europe member, etc., and still there. I think this is a new role, which is very much underlined by the Americans, by the way.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about that EU membership. As Turkey continues to negotiate for EU membership, it has recently emerged as an important regional player, as we touched on there, building bridges with so many of its neighbours. Last month, Turkey and Armenia, as Mr. Akbar was saying, signed a historic accord normalising relations and opening up their borders, ending a century of hostility. Turkey also signed a strategic agreement with Syria designed to improve ties. Since then, visa requirements for travel between the two countries have been lifted. Turkey has close ties with the Arab world and Iran, which gives it a unique position as an effective negotiator in the region. Mr. al-Taqi, these closening, these warming ties that Syria now has with Turkey, as so many other countries do in the region, how do you think Syria is going to be using that to push the peace process forward with Israel?
I think the whole region is completely changing, and there are new emerging forces. There are some forces that are stagnating or regressing region-wide, and there are some forces that are still gambling on the old pattern of forces, the old alliances. I think that Turkey, Iran, and Syria could be considered as a new alliance where we can see a new Middle East emerging through different kind of alliance in every direction. Let's imagine what would happen if you can take a bus from the south of the Volga, from Volgograd, for example, in Russia, and get to Damascus by bus through Armenia and through Turkey. There are other geostrategic changes that are taking place related to the energy tubes, to the rebuild of Iraq. Those alliances are very much powerful alliances based on geo-economic and geopolitical assumptions, and I think the leaders of all the countries in the region are very much seeing this divergence, while we are seeing some states in the region, unfortunately, having their influence regressing all over the area. And in that respect, I would say that Israel had decided to choose to be confined to a kind of a closed enclave, which will put it out of all those very positive development in terms of geoeconomics and geopolitics.
Mr. Inbar, has this new relationship, this new regional embracing by Turkey put Israel on the back foot?
I actually agree that there is a new realignment in the Middle East in which Turkey unfortunately joins the forces of Iran and Syria. And in Jerusalem, we wonder why Ankara prefers the dictatorships in those countries rather than the democracy of the Jewish state. This is something deplorable, and I think that the Americans and the Europeans are increasingly concerned about this sliding away of Turkey from Western positions. Its close relationship with Iran, its opposition to sanctions against Iran, its willingness to accept nuclear Iran in the near future is something which is very much against Western interests and, of course, against Israeli interests. And we are very sorry that Turkey has chosen this way, primarily because we understand the important role of a country like Turkey in the Middle East.
Now, Turkey still striving to enter the EU. I'm not sure that the desire is as strong as it was before. But Mr. Inbar, I mean, Turkey cannot enter the EU with a hostile Israel.
I think that Israel is not part of the EU. We, of course, have some influence in the United States and
That's what I'm talking about,
in Western Europe. But it is the Turks themselves in recent years have been disappointed with the European approach to Turkey. And we see in recent years less than 50% of the Turks supporting Turkish accession to the EU. To some extent, what we see now maybe is a result of European policies of keeping Turkey at an arm's length, and Turkey choosing, because of its new government, which has Islamic roots and some Islamic coloration to it, deciding not to become fully integrated into the West, but to carve a different path, a more Middle Eastern path, and I'm not sure this is a Kemalist tradition or vision.
Mr. Akbar, do you think with Turkey's new friends in the hood that it needs the European Union as much as it wanted to so many years ago?
Well, I think so, yes, still. I mean, European Union dynamic is essential to the transformation of Turkey and of the region. I don't think that there is a new axis of evil, you know, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. I mean, this is nonsense. You know, Turkey and all those countries are trying to survive. I mean, I, of course, totally disagree with the declarations of President Ahmadinejad regarding the Holocaust, but you know, this is a new era now. They are new parameters, and I think everybody should try to adapt to them, including the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. I think we will come there. I keep faith on it, and they will change as well. There might be some, misunderstandings on both ends, but after all, the Gaza operation was condemned not only by the Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan, but by the entire world, and especially by the Judge Goldstone, who is, by the way, a South African Jew. So, and it is now in New York. I think this is something we can't continue like before. We should understand this, and Israel as well. I think.
But I mean, your relations are truly. Sorry, excuse me to interrupt. Your relations are truly dreadful at the moment. Some of the words that Erdogan has said about Israel, Lieberman lashing out, saying that Turkey cannot possibly be a mediator. How do you get this back on track? Is it going to have to be? Is the negotiating tool going to have to be the financial military partnership that it has?
I think it started. I mean, the visit of Benjamin Ben Eliezer is no coincidence. Of course, Avigdor Lieberman is not happy with it, which is just normal. But I mean, he is a full minister in the cabinet, and he came to Turkey. I think Benjamin Netanyahu was aware of his visit. He didn't jump on the first plane and decided to visit Ankara and Istanbul. And I think this is a very important first step for the renormalization of the relations, and I hope that it will continue.
Because, Mr. al-Taqi, the same applies for Syria, doesn't it? That as much as there's bad feeling towards Israel, many Arab leaders have recognized that they can't do without Israel. So how do you get Israel to do more than just pay lip service to your cause?
I think the Israelis have to make a choice regarding the peace now, and I think now we have a very critical period where the more you try to ignore the peace needs in the region, the more the situation around Israel will become more and more belligerent. I think Israel has to decide about this, and I would say that Turkey could play here exactly a very important role as a Muslim country, and bridge the gap in an appropriate way and build the confidence in that respect, I think. In this regard, I would say that the changes that are happening in the region, they are not only related to Turkey, Syria and Iran, they are region-wide, and the new perspectives that are opened by the different development, including the fact that the Americans are gradually withdrawing, they are retrenching themselves, their direct presence in the region, they are no more able to elaborate a new strategy for the region. I think the countries of the region have a new responsibility about peace and security.
Okay, do you think Syria then will take up these new responsibilities for peace and security? Because this is what Israel wants. They want Syria to halt arms smuggling through Syria to Hezbollah. They want to weaken the strong ties to Iran and Syria's endless support of terrorist organizations such as Hamas. Will Syria tackle those issues?
I know that what Israel do want, but first of all, she needs to want to really have a real desire about peace. There will be no peace in the region without a peace process that would lead to a land for peace end. And I think without that, there will be no peace in the region. There could be no security in the region. The best way to get a security for the states of the region, for the countries of the region, is to establish peace. It's not about demonizing those who are trying to defend their rights. And I would say that even the influence of different partners in the region, it would have changed drastically if there had been a real peace in the region. And Israel had been dragging its feet for more than 19 years, and everybody who had signed peace with Israel now is finding himself very much humiliated because of the way the Israelis are treating the peace process and their neighbors.
Mr. Inbar, where do you think Israel and the US will go as far as this whole regional interplay is concerned? I know that Israel was rather disappointed in the US not supporting them when Erdogan spoke so harshly to Israel and pulled away from their relationship with Israel.
I think the Israeli position is quite clear, and very understandable. Israel tells the Palestinians as well as the Syrians, come to the negotiating table with no preconditions, and we are ready to negotiate peace. It is the Palestinians as well as the Syrians that refrain from coming to the negotiating table and try to make preconditions. I don't think we need Turks to make peace between Israelis and Syrians. The Israeli Prime Minister is ready to go to any place in the world to meet Syrian interlocutors and to talk to peace, to try to reach within a peace agreement. We reached before peace agreements with important Arab countries such as Egypt and Jordan, and it was always in the framework of direct negotiations.
Where do you think, Mr. Akbar, we're going to see Turkish foreign policy going to from here?
Well, as I said, I mean, Turkish foreign policy is heading towards everywhere. I don't know if we will have enough stuff to handle this. That's another matter. But for sure, Turkey is trying to be present in every part of the region, at least. I mean, we are still not in Southern America, but we are opening an embassy in Bogota, I understand. No, I think it's clear for the new government, for the Turkish government, that this strength that comes to this country, the stability from the EU perspective, is something much too important to not to be kept at home only. And this is why Turkey is trying its best, sometimes with clumsiness, sometimes it's not really ripe, and there are some problems with the rhetoric, but the perspective and the objectives are very clear. I think Turkey would like really to bring as much peace as possible in the region.
Yes, because a new study has just come out by the Istanbul-based Turkish Economic and Social Studies Foundation, or TEVEZ. It said TESEF. It said the Arab world believes that Turkey is the right country to be the mediator. Turkey's efforts to solve regional issues have enhanced its standing amongst its Arab neighbours. So it seems to be all good from that point of view as far as Turkey is concerned. But Mr. Inbar, what do you think Israel and Turkey's relationship will be 10 years from now? I mean, is there any chance of Turkey being Israel's best Muslim friend again, as it has been for so many years?
I certainly hope so. I'm a great friend of Turkey, and I hope that the Turkish foreign policy will change. I think that this government leads Turkey into the wrong direction, and I know that many of my Turkish colleagues agree with that and are very concerned about the Muslim coloration of this foreign policy, which is accepting President of Sudan, preferring him to other people, and not believing that Muslim can commit genocide in Darfur. This type of shrill statements by Prime Minister Erdogan make no sense even in Turkey. And I certainly hope that if Turkey will decide to change its foreign policy and decide that its future must be anchored in the West in order to have democracy and prosperity, then of course Israel will welcome always Turkey as a friend. We understand very much the importance of Turkey in the region, and it is not, I think, our fault that the relations have reached this point.
Gentlemen, all three of you, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Inside Story, and of course the viewers as well. Thank you for partaking, and we always welcome your comments and suggestions. Please email them to us at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Goodbye for now, and thanks for watching.